Okay, so first I just want you to take a look at this picture. Go ahead and read it, look at the picture, look what's happening. So what's going on there? Can you understand what it's saying?
Yes.
So what's happening?
The boy got 4 pieces and the girl got 2 pieces.
And she's saying, wait a minute, why'd PJ get 4 sandwiches and I only get 2? Did he get 4 sandwiches?
Yes.
Did he get 4?
No.
No, it's the same sandwich, but what's the difference?
That they cut it into smaller pieces.
Smaller pieces. So how many are his cut into?
4.
4. And how many are hers cut into?
2.
2. So it's pretty much the same, but same sandwich, just cut differently, right? So we're going to draw a tape diagram for that, and we're going to do it together. So do you want to give her a name? No? You can't think of a name? Let's just call her Sally. Oh, this marker is not working. Hold on, let me get a marker that works.
Isn't there a yellow one in there?
There's not one in here. I'll get one from over there. Okay, so I'm gonna write Sally, because that's what we're gonna call her. And then we're going to do a tape diagram to show her sandwich. So how many parts is her sandwich cut into?
2.
2. So we're just gonna split it in half to show that it's cut into 2 pieces. And now we have PJ, that was his name. And we'll do a tape diagram for him too. And how many pieces was his cut into?
4.
4. So we're gonna do the same. Cut it into 1, 2, 3, 4 equal pieces. Okay, so we know that this equals 1 whole, right? Because it's 1 whole sandwich. And this is 1 whole sandwich. And what if Sally decides to eat 1 piece of her sandwich? How many did she eat? How many pieces did she eat? Is there a fraction you can use to show that?
Yes.
What would the fraction be? We know she ate 1 piece, so I'm going to use that as my numerator. And how many pieces were there altogether?
2.
2. So that's how we show that she ate 1/2 of her sandwich. Now let's do the same for PJ. PJ got hungry too, so he decided to eat 2 pieces of his sandwich. So how many pieces did he eat?
2.
2. So we're going to put 2 as our numerator. And how many pieces did he have altogether? 4. So if we look at this, did they eat different amounts of sandwich or the same?
The same.
The same. Because if we look at our tape diagram, we see that 1/2 is the same as 2/4. Good. Okay. So I'm going to erase this, and we're going to do a little fraction activity. I'm going to move this up here so you can still look at it. So I have these strips of paper, and they're going to help us out with our fractions. So this first one is going to represent 1 whole. So 1 whole piece, 1 thing. And what if I get this, and can you fold it in half for me, please? Fold it in half, and then we're going to cut it in half. How many pieces did I cut it into?
2.
2. And if you notice, those 2 pieces fit into what?
1 whole.
The 1 whole. So if I make a fraction for those 2 pieces, what is the fraction going to look like for 1 piece?
1, 2.
1/2. Good. So we don't say 1, 2. We say 1/2. And how about this next piece?
1/2.
1/2. And what happens if we add those 2 together? We add 1/2 plus 1/2. What are we going to get?
2 halves.
2 halves, and those 2 halves equal
1 whole.
1 whole. Good. Now we're going to do it one more time. So I want you to fold it 2 times now. So fold it in half and then fold it in half again. And then once you're done with that, go ahead and cut it on the lines. Good. And go ahead and line them up on your 1 hole. So what happened now? What happened when we folded it that extra time?
It got into fourths.
Yeah, it got into fourths. So can you label those for me? How would they look like if you labeled it?
1/4.
Good. So go ahead and do those for those 4 pieces. Good job. And we're going to just put them back right there. So what will our fraction look like if we have fourths as our denominator to make 1 whole? How many fourths equal 1 whole?
4.
4 fourths. And how about 1 half?
2.
2. Awesome job. Okay, one more time, but you're going to fold it one more extra time. So what do you think is going to happen now?
It turned into 6.
6? All right, let's see.
Turned into 8.
Turned into 8. Good. So since you know that, go ahead and label them as your labeler, and then we're going to place them back into our fraction chart. Yeah, good job. So let's go ahead and start setting them back over here. So this is like when we're doing our tape diagram and then we decompose it into those smaller units like we were doing earlier today. Good. Okay. So then to make, if we have 8s, how many 8s do we need to make 1 whole?
8.
8 8s. Okay, good. We have 1 more strip of paper. So do the same thing, and we're just adding 1 more fold to that. And what do you think it's going to be now?
12 12.
You think it's going to be 12s? Okay, let's see. So how many?
4, 5, 6, 7. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16.
16. So how many pieces did we cut it into?
16.
16 pieces. So go ahead and label those. What are you going to label them?
16.
Just 16? What's your fraction going to be?
1/16.
Good. 1/16. Good. So I know you were looking for like that pattern, right? That's why you thought it was going to be 12.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'm going to show you something after you do that. Show you a little trick, or show you what we did to get these numbers. I'll start putting them there. Our little tiny pieces. Okay. And then as you're writing, I'm going to ask you the same question. How many 16ths do we need to make that whole?
16.
Good. 16. Last one. Got it. Okay. So this is what we did. We have the 1 whole, which is 1/1. It's just 1 whole. And to find that second row, we folded it in half one time to get those 2 parts. So to get that 2, we did times 2 because we got 2 parts. And that's how we got the denominator of 2. Now to get to the next one, what we had to do was we split this half into how many equal parts?
4.
Let's just focus on the half. We focused a half, or we split the half into how many equal parts?
2.
2. So what we did was we had the half, we did to the bottom, and that's how we got the 1/4. And now with the 1/4, how many parts did we separate the 1/4 into? We have 1/4 right here. How many 8ths do we have?
2.
2 equal parts. So we have the 1/4. We separated that into 2 equal parts. So that's how we got the 1/8. And the same for the 1/8. Now we have 1/8. How many parts did we separate the 1/8 into?
2.
2. So we got the 1/16. If we were to keep going, what do you think we would separate the 16th into? How many parts? If we were to keep going, you know how we separated into 2 parts, and then we took the 1/8, separated that into 2 parts. What do you think we would do to the 1/16th? Separate it into how many parts? We did by 2, 2, 2,
2.
2. So if we were to do that, our next little strips, I didn't want to do it because there's going to be way too many pieces of paper. If we multiplied that by 2, we would have gotten 1/32. But that would have been too tiny, and I didn't want to do that. Okay, so if we look at our whole, if I asked you, how many 16ths are in 1/4?
2.
Let's see, we have 1/4 right here. How many 16ths go into that 1/4?
4.
4. Good. How about how many 1/8 go into 2/4?
2.
So we have 2/4. We have 1 2/4 right here. So how many 8ths go into that?
4.
4. Good. Let's see. How many 16ths go into 2/4? So we have, I could bring these down here so you can see it. We have 16ths. How many 16ths go into 2/4?
8.
Good. How about how many 8ths go into 1 whole? 8. Good. 8 8ths. So now we're going to do some of these together. You can go ahead and grab the marker because you're going to be writing. So we have blank 8ths. So how many 8ths go into 1/4?
2.
2. Let's go ahead and write it. Because we looked at the 1/4 and we counted 1, 2, right? Okay, what about our next one? What's the next one asking us?
How much 16 goes to 2?
Goes into 1/2. So how many 16ths go into 1/2? Do you want me to move 1/2 down here so it's easier? Okay, so let's move 1/2 down here so we can count them better.
8.
Good. So 8 16ths is equal to the 1/2. Okay. Now we can also use this when we're comparing two of them. So we have our 1/2. And what's our next fraction?
3/4.
3/4. So we have 1, 2, 3. Which one's bigger? 1/2 or 3/4?
1/2.
1/2? Let's take 1/2. And how many fourths is it asking us for?
3.
So I need 3 strips of paper. So I'm looking at 1/2, 1, 2, 3/4. Which one has more? Which one's longer? Which one's bigger? 3/4. So 3/4 is greater than 1/2. So for this, we're going to write 1/2 is less than 3/4. Good. And what's our next one asking us?
5/8.
And what are we comparing it with?
3/16.
3/16. Okay. So how many do I need? How many eighths do I need?
5.
5. So let's take 5 so we can compare that with my 16ths. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then how many 16ths?
3.
3. So we're going to take 1, 2, and 3. Now looking at those two, is 5/8 greater, less than, or equal to 3/16?
Greater.
Greater. So go ahead and write your greater than sign. Right here?
Oh.
Yeah. Good. Okay. So if you ever need to, just take them so you can look at them. Because it's easier to compare it when you pull them off to the side so you can see it. Okay. Are you ready to do some by yourself? Yeah, okay. So I'm gonna erase this and you're gonna do a couple all by yourself. Have the marker? Let's see. So we're gonna do some that are equal to each other, and you're also going to do some to compare the two, okay? Okay, let's do those two. I don't like that one. There. So those are the ones you're going to look at. And if you want, go ahead and grab from here so you can look at them better. So what's the first one asking you?
3/4 equivalent to 8.
So 3/4 is equal to how many eighths? Do you want to pull them off to the side to look at it? Okay. So we have 3/4. So how many eighths do you need to fill that up? So then you have 3/4 is equal to
6/8.
Perfect. All right, let's go ahead and move on to our next one. What's it asking you?
2/16 equals 8.
Okay, so 2/16 is equal to how many eighths?
1.
You didn't, oh yeah, you're right. You didn't need to use it? Nope. All right, go ahead and fill it in. All right, now let's go ahead and look at our next one. Now we have to compare. Awesome, so we have 2/4, so you did 1, 2. Then you looked at how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Awesome. All right, go ahead and do the next one.
Equal?
Yeah, it's equal. We have 12/16 and it perfectly filled up those 3/4 and it's equal. Perfect job. Good job. Okay, so let's put these back. There's a lot of them. We'll just scoot them all over like that. Okay. Good. Do you have any questions about any of this?
No.
Did it help you understand the way we break down the fractions? Yeah, and seeing how to compare them and seeing what's greater, what's less than, and all that?
Yes.
Yeah? Perfect. Okay, good job. High five. You can go to PE, okay?
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.